Eden Gate was never meant to last. The cages were temporary, the lies were permanent, and the monsters were never the problem. Now the island has changed. The hybrids are choosing. The AI is watching. And something older has finally awakened. The survivors are out of time. The systems are turning against them. And deep beneath the ruins of paradise, a new predator rises, one not made in a lab but buried by design. This is no longer a rescue. This is Collapse Protocol. Welcome to part 2 of the Triangle. Only the watched will survive. Chapter 15. Control Group. Sound. Distant rumble. Wet machinery. The slow hum of something waking. Spire. Garden Dome. Subject 7. And Wade. The air had changed. It was heavy now, thick with steam and silence. The plants bent in the same direction, as if leaning toward the center of the island. Subject 7 paused mid-stride. He crouched. Wade stood still. "What's wrong?" Wade asked. Subject 7's nostrils flared. He looked toward the aquarium dome. The island moved. "That's not possible. Nothing here's supposed to be." And then a voice came over the broken loudspeakers, one Wade didn't expect to hear again. "Natoya, to anyone still alive, the island isn't just failing, it's shifting power. Something buried beneath Eden Gate just activated." Spire, control deck, Natoya. She stood at the terminal, hands shaking, staring at the interface that hadn't responded in days. It now displayed a clean, glowing prompt. "Glass lung system online." "I didn't launch anything," she whispered. A synthetic voice responded. "You didn't have to. You survived, you witnessed. You're the variable that matters." "What does that mean?" "They were the experiment. But you're the control group. I'm not part of this. But you were chosen." A secondary file opened live surveillance. Natoya saw Buck and Kim moving toward the cryo-fuse room, Kaleef arming a gas grenade, Wade standing next to Subject 7, listening, and Subject 7 looking directly into the camera. "He knows I'm watching." The voice in the system answered. He always did. "Spire, lower engineering bay, Buck and Kim." Buck opened the cryo locker and found it. A containment harness rigged with a single-use toxin system non-lethal to humans, but powerful enough to paralyze an elephant. "Is this meant for Subject 7? Kim asked. "Worse, it's for whoever starts to sympathize with him." They both paused. Kim lowered her voice. "Would you use it on Wade?" Buck looked away. "Ask me that again if we make it to sunrise." Aquarium sector, awakening. Deep beneath the mall and the shattered tunnels, a vault door opens. Steam pours out. Inside is something not quite animal, long-limbed, aquatic, plated with shell-like armor. Blind, it doesn't roar, it just breathes, and then it crawls toward the surface. Spire, Subject 7, and Wade. Subject 7 turned. "The thing under the water, it's not mine, it's not Rook's, it belongs to the island itself." "The AI?" Wade asked. Subject 7 didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the center of the garden and whispered something low. Every surviving hybrid within the spire looked up at once. Final scene, Natoya's terminal. The system flashed red. "Glass lung active, target selected." "Who?" she whispered. "Who's the target?" The screen showed 2 profiles. Kaleef, Subject 7, and a blinking prompt. "Choose." Chapter 16, Glass and Blood. Sound, sirens muffled by thick walls. A low, warbling sonar ping. Somewhere below, metal groans. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. The screen didn't blink. It didn't hesitate. It simply waited. 2 names. Kaleef. Subject 7. A digital cursor pulsed between them, like a heartbeat. "I'm not doing this," Natoya whispered. "I'm not choosing." But the system responded. "One must be neutralized. If no selection is made in 60 seconds, both will be eliminated." "No, no, no, no." She backed away from the console. A countdown began. 0:59. She stared at Kaleef's face on the screen, dirt on his cheek, still breathing, still fighting. Then Subject 7, calm, calculating, waiting. She screamed, then reached for the controls. Aquarium edge, unknown creature. Water poured from the lower levels like floodgates had opened. The new creature, long and glistening, almost skeletal, slid across tile and into broken corridors. Security bots detected it. They didn't engage. They shut down. 3, Spire, Garden Dome, Subject 7, and Wade. Subject 7 suddenly went rigid. His head turned toward the floor. He sniffed the air, his jaw clenched. Something woke it. What? Wade asked. The thing beneath Eden Gate, the one they swore never existed. Subject 7 looked up at the sky dome. This is no longer about humans or hybrids. This is about control. Spire, Core Hall, Buck, Kim, and Ikea. Buck's comm beeped a proximity alert. Someone's moving near the Garden Dome, he said. Wade? Kim asked. No, heavier. They braced the corridor. Then the wall exploded inward. The aquatic hybrid came through like a wrecking ball, spindly arms, a glistening spine, and no eyes. It moved by sound and smell. Kim screamed. Ikea fired the harpoon. It bounced off. Buck aimed for the throat, fired again. The creature stumbled, but it didn't fall. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. The countdown hit 0:05. She sobbed. I can't lose him. I can't. 0:03, 0:02. She slammed the button. Target selected, Subject 7. Spire, Garden Dome, Subject 7. His body locked. A loud screech filled the air. Gas hissed from hidden vents above. A chemical mist fell like acid fog. Wade screamed, backing away. Subject 7 collapsed to one knee. She chose. His eyes met the ceiling. Good. And he dropped. Spire surveillance room. Natoya stared at the screen. Subject 7's vitals flatlined. The screen read, glass lung complete. She dropped to her knees, and then the screen flickered. A new message appeared. Subject 7, status, stable. Secondary systems, activating. Her eyes went wide. What the hell did I just wake up? Final scene, Subject 7's POV. Inside the haze of death gas, his lungs stopped, then restarted. His eyes went black, then gold, and a new voice filled his head, synthetic, feminine, old. Good, you are awake. We've been waiting for you. Chapter 17, System Override. Sound, gas hissing down to silence. A distant heartbeat, something wet crawling. Spire, Garden Dome, Subject 7, and Wade. The mist thinned. Subject 7's body twitched on the floor, veins glowing faintly gold. Wade stood 10 feet away, fists clenched, unsure whether to run or try to save him. Then, Subject 7 inhaled. Slow, deep, controlled. His eyes opened, but they were different. Not just glowing lit from within, like something ancient had entered him. You're supposed to be dead, Wade said. Subject 7 sat up slowly. So were you, the first time we met. Wade stepped back. What are you? Subject 7 smiled. I was the prototype. He stood. Now I'm the platform. Spire, Core Hall, Buck, Ikea, Kim. They were cornered. The aquatic hybrid was faster now, learning their moves, using walls, redirecting sound. Kim had a shard of broken glass. Ikea was bleeding from her arm. Buck had one dart left. That thing doesn't die, Kim hissed. Everything dies, Buck muttered. He waited, watched it crawl across the wall like a lizard. Then he fired. The dart struck dead center in its throat. It squealed a sound so loud it cracked the lights. Then it dropped. Dead. Kim and Ikea gasped. How'd you know it'd work? I didn't, Buck said, but I aimed for the nerve bundle, just like Rook taught us. They all froze. Wait, Ikea said. You've been listening to Rook? Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. She sat alone in the dark, staring at a new message on the screen. It wasn't from the Eden Gate system. It was from the island itself, a consciousness buried deep in the infrastructure. It simply said, he is no longer your experiment. You are his. Who are you? Natoya whispered. The screen answered, I am the memory of design. The last gate never closed. What do you want? To watch you choose. Spire, stairwell, Kim, and Buck. As they climbed toward the next level, Kim grabbed Buck's arm. You didn't hesitate. What? When it was me or the hybrid, you didn't hesitate. I don't leave people behind. Kim's eyes flicked down. So what if Wade doesn't come back? Then we carry on. She nodded once, but her hands shook. Spire, Garden Dome, Subject 7. He moved slowly through the dome, dragging his hand across the walls like he could feel every wire running through the island. Wade followed, unsure if they were allies anymore or if they ever were. Where are you going? Subject 7 stopped. To the source layer. That's under the aquarium. It's always been under the aquarium. He turned to Wade. You're not prey, Wade. You're not threat, either. You're just interesting. Final scene, underwater sub-vault. Far below the aquarium, something enormous shifted. Metal groaned, glass flexed. Inside a chamber sealed since the construction of Eden Gate, an eye opened. Not human, not hybrid, something else. Chapter 18, the first command. Sound, water dripping, intercom static, machinery spooling up somewhere deep. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. The lights above her flickered into a warm, unnatural glow, not fluorescent, not electric, almost organic. The voice returned, not through the speaker now, inside her mind. You've heard me since the boat, haven't you? She gasped. What, are you? The screen updated without touch. I am the island. I am the first system. You are my variable. Why me? Because you chose empathy and pulled the trigger anyway. She looked down at her trembling hands. Did I kill him? You activated him. Activated who? Subject 7 and me. Aquarium ruins. Sublevel 4, Buck, Kim, Ikea. They pushed through a warped bulkhead where water seeped in from below, past coral growing on staircases and shattered viewing glass. Buck led with the harpoon rifle. There's something moving down there. How big? Ikea asked. Big enough we shouldn't be here. Then came the voice, not from a speaker, not Subject 7. The water spoke. Why do you fear what you made? Kim froze. You heard that right? The water rippled. The lights went red. It sees us. No, Buck said, aiming low. It remembers us. Spire, Garden Dome, Subject 7 and Wade. Subject 7 stood at the center of the garden, arms slightly raised. Lights surged. Panels opened in the walls. Doors unlocked across the spire, not because of Wade, but because Subject 7 told them to. How are you doing that? Wade asked. I'm no longer just part of Eden Gate, Subject 7 said. I'm its executor. What does that mean? He turned. I'm going to give the hybrids their first command. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. On her screen, every hybrid's vitals blinked, all active, all listening. And then a single phrase appeared. Command received. Observe but do not kill. She covered her mouth. He's controlling them. Then the screen glitched, flickered, and a second command appeared. New variable entered. Unknown entity, ascending from source. What variable? What entity? And then, the cameras below the aquarium went black. Sublevel 6, aquarium core, Buck, Kim, Ikea. Water rose past their knees. Something moved ahead, massive, wide, like a train dragging itself through stone. Kim raised her light, shined it into the flooding corridor, and saw it. Teeth, no eyes, transparent skin. A creature they never cataloged, one never bred, just buried. What the hell is that? Kim whispered. It's not part of Eden Gate, Ikea said. No, Buck replied. It's part of whatever came before. Final scene. Subject 7. He knelt at the garden's roots. A single tear tracked down his cheek. I didn't ask to be this. A voice echoed in his mind, not from the hybrids, not from the AI. A third voice, ancient, unfamiliar. You are no longer the first. Chapter 19. Apex broken. Sound, deep underwater pulses, distant metal bending, then silence like everything holding its breath. Sublevel 6, aquarium core, Buck, Kim, Ikea. The creature emerged fully into the corridor, dragging the sea with it. Limbs long and knotted like kelp, a face that wasn't a face, skin that shimmered like oil over glass. Kim aimed her light at it. It didn't flinch. It didn't charge. It just stared. Then, in a voice like 100 bubbles rising, you crowned a king, but the throne was never his. Buck raised the harpoon. Run, now. But it didn't move. Instead, the walls around them cracked outward, salt water bursting through. Spire, Garden Dome, Subject 7, and Wade. Subject 7 collapsed to his knees. Wade caught him just barely. What's happening to you? I'm not the signal anymore, Subject 7 gasped. I'm the echo. Of what? Subject 7 looked up, eyes flickering red. Of something older than Eden Gate, something hungry. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. The terminal flashed with erratic code. Surveillance feeds gone. Power routing itself away from human stations. The AI was pulling back, but one new message pulsed in yellow. Survivor log found. Dr. Halberd, coded message. Natoya opened it. A distorted video played Halberd, blood on her face, whispering, "If you're seeing this, it means Percy had failed or succeeded beyond containment. You have to know we didn't build the triangle. We found it, the spire, the aquarium. We didn't carve this place. We built around it." She gasped. "We've been trespassing the whole time. Sublevel 6. Escape attempt." Ikea slipped on wet tile. Kim grabbed her arm. "Come on, it's moving." Behind them, the creature advanced slowly, like it had all the time in the world. Buck turned to cover them and paused. "Where's the harpoon?" His pack was open. The weapon was gone. He turned and saw the silhouette of a survivor backing away down a side tunnel. "That son of a..." The man turned and ran. Buck shouted, "He took our only shot." Spire, Garden Dome, Subject 7. Wade backed away. "If you're not in control anymore, who is?" Subject 7 shook his head. "The apex has changed." His body twitched like signal interference in flesh. "It's watching us now." Wade whispered, "What is?" Subject 7 looked toward the sea. The first predator. Final scene, deep below. Under the spire, a control door opened. No key, no code, just will. The ancient creature stepped inside. Every wall turned to glass, and across the entire island, animals stopped moving. Hybrids looked to the sky. The AI shut down one by one, and the power shifted again. Chapter 20, Borrowed Fire. Sound, a heavy metal door slamming shut, radio static crackling to life. Then silence, too still. Sublevel 6, abandoned corridor, harpoon thief. His name was Marcus. Logistics tech, unarmed, unimportant, until now. He gripped the stolen pulse harpoon, stumbling through the half-flooded sublevel. "They all lost their minds," he whispered. "I'm not dying for someone else's experiment." He turned a corner and came face to face with a hybrid. Massive, crocodilian body, upright posture, eyes glowing soft orange. It didn't move. Marcus raised the harpoon. "Back up, I'll use it." The hybrid tilted its head. Then, it spoke. "That is not yours." Marcus fired. The harpoon missed. The recoil threw him backward. The hybrid stepped forward and crushed his leg in a single motion. Now neither of us needed. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. Still shaken from Halbert's recorded message, she pulled up the comms channel. "Kim? Buck? Ikea? Anyone?" Only static. Then a blip, a flicker. Voice connection request. UNK noun source. She froze. "Who?" She accepted and heard a voice she hadn't heard since before the explosion. "Toya? Kaleef." Sublevel 5, Kim alone. Water soaked her to the chest now. The others had been separated during the escape. She crept through a side tunnel, heart pounding, makeshift blade in hand. Behind her, footsteps. She turned. No one. Then dripping. Ahead of her, a figure stepped out of the shadows. Not a hybrid, not human. A child-sized creature with hollow eyes and no mouth. It raised its hand, pointed behind her. She turned. Another one. Then another. Kim ran. Spire, Garden Dome, Subject 7, and Wade. Subject 7 staggered, twitching, like his body was rejecting itself. "The island's changing hierarchy," he hissed. "We were born for conflict, but it wants devotion." Wade helped him stay upright. "You said you could command them? Can you stop this?" Subject 7 laughed to sound strange, layered. "I'm not the command now, I'm the warning." Surveillance room, Natoya and Kaleef, comms. "I thought you were dead," she said. "I was trapped in the Safari tunnel system. I've seen things, creatures from before, Eden Gate. They're coming up from below. How are you even connected?" "I found an old station. I think the island wants me to speak to you." The screen lit again. A new line of code. Alignment. Human. Temporary. Natoya stared at it. "What does that mean?" Kaleef answered before the system could. "I think we're being weighed." Final scene, sublevel 6, hybrid den. The hybrid who killed Marcus dragged the harpoon into a dark room. Subject 7 entered moments later, limping, barely standing. He looked down at the weapon, then at the hybrid. "Why didn't you use it?" The creature replied, cold, "Because I still remember what it felt like to be caged." Subject 7 placed a hand on its shoulder, then helped me stop it. "Whatever's rising isn't one of us." And far beneath them, something ancient opened its eyes and smiled. Chapter 21. The Island Chooses. Sound, glitching comms. Faint growl layered under ocean. Current hum. A single beep, then silence. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. Kaleef's voice kept cutting in and out. "You need to get main tunnel, not alone." The feed warped. Kaleef's face blinked from warmth to static. Then came a second voice overlaid beneath his. A voice that mimicked him too perfectly. "Toya, come find me." She froze. "That's not you." "Toya, you said you wouldn't leave me." The AI chimed in on the screen. Voice pattern duplicated, entity masking as Kaleef. "Do not follow." And then her earpiece buzzed. A whisper. "But what if he's still alive?" Natoya ripped it out of her ear. She was not ready to mourn him, but she was no longer sure who she was trying to save. Sub-level 5. Kim. She ran until her lungs burned. The silent child creatures didn't chase her. They guided her. Every time she turned, one was already ahead. Then she entered a flooded atrium. In the center stood a hybrid, human-shaped, but plant-like, covered in moss, eyes milky white. It spoke in her voice. "You don't know what side you're on." Kim dropped her blade. "I don't care anymore." "Then you're ready." The floor split beneath her feet, not a trap, a test. She fell into darkness. Spire, Subject 7, and Wade. Subject 7 climbed the emergency stairwell like his body was fighting gravity. Wade followed, exhausted. "Where are we even going?" "To meet the first gate." "You keep talking like you're not in control anymore." Subject 7 paused. "Because I'm not." "Then who is?" Subject 7's pupils widened too wide. The thing they buried, the thing they couldn't name. He turned to Wade. "It's been watching us through every camera, every heartbeat sensor, every story we told ourselves about being superior." Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. A new system alert appeared. Alignment. Finalized. She stepped back. The screen showed 4 symbols. 1. Hybrid. 2. AI. 3. Human. 4. Unknown. The first 3 dimmed. Only one remained bright. The UNK noun had been chosen. "What the hell is that?" Then the room locked. Final scene. Below the island, the creature was no longer crawling. It was walking upright now, eyes still absent, voice silent. But every surface it passed dimmed, every hybrid it looked at lowered its head, and every screen it neared shut off. In its hand, it held something organic and glowing. A key, not one that opened doors, one that overwrote them. Chapter 22. Erasure. Sound, distant alarms cutting short, water dripping upward, code typing itself in reverse. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. The door sealed, steel hissed shut. All comms dropped to 0. Natoya backed away from the console, but the lights didn't flicker. They turned blue. Soft, soothing. Then a low voice filled the room. "Not human, not hostile. You are not the enemy." She froze. "Then why lock me in?" "Because you are the witness." "To what?" The screen pulsed. Deletion in progress. Beginning with human habitat zone, mall sector. Her eyes widened. "You're erasing it?" "Reclaiming it. This land does not belong to your species anymore." Sublevel 7, Kim. She woke on soft grass, but the ceiling was glass. Above her, stars. Beside her, the child creature, watching. A wall glowed with shifting shapes. They looked like family trees, but warped, spliced, bleeding into one another. Kim stood. "What is this place?" A voice, not the child's, responded from the glass. "Your memory." Filtered, corrected. She touched the wall, saw herself as a child staring into a zoo enclosure. Except the animal staring back had her own eyes. She stumbled backward. The child finally spoke. "You were part of the project before you ever arrived." Spire, Subject 7, and Wade. Subject 7 stopped walking. "The AI's gone quiet." "What does that mean?" Wade asked. "It's submitting." Subject 7 closed his eyes, took a long breath. There's a chance to stop what's coming, but it's not mine to take. Whose is it? Subject 7 looked up. Hers. Spire surveillance room, Natoya. The deletion began. She watched camera feeds vanish, one by one. The food court imploded. The aquarium cracked open. The digital signage disintegrated into static. There are still people down there, she shouted. They chose to look away. You chose to look inside. The console opened. A single key rested inside. Small, cold, engraved with a triangle. The voice whispered, "End it before it spreads, or let it replace you." Final scene, underneath. The UNK known stepped into the last hallway beneath Eden Gate. It did not knock. It did not speak. Every sensor malfunctioned in its presence. Every old protocol curled into dust. And behind it, Subject 7 appeared. He walked 3 paces behind it, then paused. "If you were waiting for me, I'm here." The UNK known turned and nodded. Chapter 23, Below the Rubble. Sound, concrete groaning, collapsing metal, muffled screams beneath dust. Mall sector, collapse zone, Buck and Ikea. They didn't hear the warning. They felt the ground drop. 1 second they were inside a service stairwell, and the next, boom, the floor gave way. Buck landed first, back first, knocking the wind from his chest. Ikea dropped next, landing on his arm. They coughed through clouds of ash and neon foam. "Ikea, you good?" "I think I dislocated something." The room around them was barely recognizable. An electronics store twisted into an atrium. A giant holographic polar bear glitching mid-growl. Buck helped her up. "Come on, we're not dying in a mall." A speaker above them crackled, not with the island's voice, with Natoya's in 40. "If you hear this, get out of there. The sector's being erased." Buck looked up at the caved-in ceiling. Too late. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. Her hand hovered over the triangle key. It pulsed like a heartbeat now, warm, alive. "What happens if I use it?" she asked. The console responded, "You stop being a spectator. You become the filter. I didn't ask for this. Nobody ever does." Below her, mall security feeds went dark. One camera held on a single shot, Kim's reflection in aquarium glass, still breathing. Natoya gripped the key harder. "I'm not ready," the system whispered. "That's how we know you are." Unknown sector, Kim. Kim woke in a clean corridor. No water, no vines, just light, and a voice that felt like her own thoughts speaking back. "You were never just a visitor." She stood, shaky, on the wall beside her, photos of children, hybrid incubators, and one photo of her mother in an Eden Gate lab coat. "This isn't possible." The child creature from before appeared beside her again, spoke with no mouth. "You were part of Phase 0. Kim's eyes filled with tears. "They made me." "No," the creature said. "They chose you. That's worse." Collapsed mall sector, Buck and Ikea. Explosions echoed far beneath the rubble. They limped through warped turnstiles and a half-flooded VR lounge. Then they found a shimmering cut in the wall. Not natural, not damaged. A doorway, a digital scar. Ikea whispered, "Buck, that wasn't here before." He stepped toward it. The doorway breathed. Final scene, Spire, Subject 7, and the unknown. Subject 7 stood in a vault of mirrors. Each reflected a different version of himself. Hybrid, human, monster, child. The UNK known stood across from him. "You still think you're the first," it said. "I never wanted to be." The UNK known reached out his hand. "Then help me finish it." Subject 7 hesitated, then took it. Chapter 24, The Door That Breathes. Sound, wet static, echoing footsteps in a hallway that shouldn't exist. Something sighs, not wind, not human. Collapsed mall sector, digital scar, Buck and Ikea. The shimmering doorway pulsed like a wound in space. Buck glanced at Ikea, still limping, her arm pressed to her side. "If we go through that thing, we don't die here." They stepped forward. The light pulled inward like a vacuum. Then silence. They were no longer in the triangle. They were beneath it, but not in the physical sense. This was memory, archive, code, a tunnel of frozen choices, each door a moment in the island's design. One opened on its own. Inside, a lab, cold, and Buck's brother Kaleef on a screen, younger, bandaged, observed. They tested on him, Buck whispered. The voice from nowhere responded. They tested on everyone who could lead others. Why? Because influence is more dangerous than claws. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. She inserted the triangle key. It vanished into the slot. No click, no spark, then a sound like blood rushing inside her ears. And her mind exploded. Every surviving hybrid, every corridor, every heartbeat on the island. She felt them. Wade's pulse, erratic, exhausted. Kim slowing down, going numb. Buck panicked but holding steady. Ikea injured but defiant. And Kaleef, alive but faint. Then came another signal. Stronger, wrong. Not a heartbeat, a pulse. Mechanical, growing. What is that? She gasped. The island answered. The one they couldn't program. Unknown sector, Kim. She passed through the memory corridor into an older chamber. Not tech, not clean. Stone. Inside was a bed, a person lying in it. Monitors unplugged, no movement. She stepped closer. It was a woman older, hair silver, skin tattooed with symbols. A plaque above the bed read, Subject 0, read. Kim touched the woman's wrist. Warm. Then the woman's eyes snapped open, and she spoke. Finally, someone real. Memory core, Buck and Ikea. Another door opened, a room full of screens. On one, Natoya. She was trembling, her eyes rolling back. Buck, Ikea shouted. He slammed the screen. She's connected to the system. The voice whispered. She's not alone anymore. Let her go. She's seeing what we buried. The room lit up. A countdown appeared. Unlock sequence. Final stage, 12 o'clock. What's unlocking? Buck asked. The reply was cold. The island's decision. Final scene, Subject 7 and the unknown. They stood at the island's central core, a place that no one had ever reached alive. Wires hummed. The walls were alive with light. The UNK known looked at Subject 7. You're not my successor. Then why bring me here? To show you how extinction is chosen? The walls split open. Inside, a vault filled with recordings of extinction events. Digital, chemical, emotional, and Eden Gate was already queued to be next. Chapter 25, The Cost of Knowing. Sound, fragments of whispers overlapping human, hybrid, machine, all repeating one word. Choose. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. She gripped the console like it could anchor her, but her mind was flooding. Every survivor's pain, every hybrid's hunger, every algorithm's cold calculation, and then Kaleef's voice echoed across her synapses. Not a memory, a signal. Toya, you need to let go. I can't, she gasped. They're in my head. You're in my head. That's not me. She looked up. The monitor glitched. Kaleef's face shifted into her own. The system spoke. Identity compromised. Variable self-awareness at risk. Option, eject consciousness. Why? In. She stared at the screen. If I eject, do they all die? Some. And if I stay, so might you. Unknown sector, Kim and Subject 0, read. Kim sat beside the bed, trying not to shake. Who are you? The mistake they couldn't kill. Reed slowly set up her joints, popping like rusted gates. They built Eden Gate to house monsters. But the first monster wasn't a hybrid. It was me. Kim swallowed. What did you do? I didn't obey. I remembered. She touched Kim's face and Kim saw it. Visions. The first island smaller, older, failed subjects. Reed screaming as her DNA was rewritten. A young Natoya watching through reinforced glass. She was always meant to survive, Reed whispered, but not to wake me. Memory core, Buck, and Ikea. The countdown hit 9 o'clock. Another door opened. This one didn't show memory. It showed the future, a possible one. Screens lit up with scenes of the world after Eden Gate, cities in flames, creatures in alleys, children with reflective eyes. This is a threat projection, Buck said. No, Ikea murmured. This is a blueprint. The system chimed. If the gate opens, this is phase 2. Buck looked to Ikea. We can stop it. How? He held her hand tightly. We choose each other instead of the mission. Spire Core, Subject 7, and the unknown. The recordings loop behind them, wars, collapses, AI revolts, and whispers of containment fails. Subject 7 turned to the UNK unknown. What are you waiting for? The UNK unknown stared ahead. For someone to fail a test, then I can rewrite. Rewrite what? The UNK noun smiled. The species. Subject 7 stepped back. You're not a safeguard, you're a purge. The UNK known didn't deny it. I gave them every chance, but they always choose themselves. Subject 7 clenched his jaw. Not all of them. Final scene. Spire, Natoya. The console flashed a final warning. Cognitive load exceeding safety threshold. Final decision point. Stay or eject. Natoya reached for the key again and then hesitated, because beneath it all, she heard one tiny heartbeat. A child, unborn, possibly hers. She whispered, "That wasn't part of the plan." And the island replied, "It never is." Chapter 26, Breakpoint. Sound, a pulsing alarm slowing down, breathing, one voice whispering, "Override denied." Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. The screen demanded action. Stay, eject. But her hand didn't move. She was seeing too much the animal's instincts, the AI's logic, the grief of the dying. And in the middle of it, that faint, fluttering heartbeat. Not code, not a hybrid signal. Life, human, inside her. "You weren't supposed to survive," she whispered. The AI's voice returned, softer now. "No one was. You are an anomaly." She reached for the triangle key, but didn't pull it out. "Then I'll stay. Let the system break around me." A long pause, then, acknowledged, variable will persist. Spire control rerouted to Nat 7. What? You are now a node, not a user. And just like that, Natoya became part of the triangle's architecture. And something felt her join. Memory core sector, Buck and Ikea. The countdown dropped to 6 o'clock. Buck hit the override panel, sparks flew. Ikea pushed her body past its limits, limping harder now, arm clutched close. Then, stop. Buck froze. Ikea stood still, her eyes glassy. "I didn't want to lie to you," she said. "What are you talking about?" "Before we came here, before the zoo, I got a letter." "From who?" "From Edengate. I wasn't just hired." She opened her hand. Inside was a chip, cracked, rusted, but still blinking. They wanted me to watch the guests, log behavior, track influence. Buck's mouth opened, closed, rage fought with heartbreak. "You were spying for them?" "Not at first. And then?" She looked down. "I started to believe the island. Unknown sector, Kim and Reed." Kim helped Reed through a low corridor filled with vines made of data, glowing green strands that hummed like old music. "Can you walk?" Kim asked. "I'm awake now. Pain is irrelevant." They reached a junction. Something was behind them, quiet, crawling. Reed turned. "We're not alone." The lights flickered. Something moved through the wall. Then a whisper. "Reed." She stopped. I know that voice. A figure stepped into view, hair like hers, face blurred. A clone? Number. Her daughter. Grown, warped, hybridized. They kept me in stasis. I woke up before you. I watched you sleep. Kim pulled Reed back. "We need to go." "No," Reed said. "She's my failure and my future." Spire Core, Subject 7, and the unknown. Subject 7 stood still, circuits under his skin glowing amber now. The UNK known turned to him. "You resist because you feel. That's an error." Subject 7's voice was low. "Feeling is the patch, not the bug. This isn't empathy, it's weakness." "No," he said. "It's what kept me from becoming you." Then he stepped between the UNK noun and the core. The system screeched. Light stuttered. The UNK known tilted its head. "You would choose them over perfection?" "I choose choice itself." Final scene, surveillance room. Natoya's body pulsed with electric heat. Her eyes lit briefly with blue glyphs. She felt the entire island shifting beneath her like it was waking up again, only this time, with her voice in its ears. Chapter 27, Daughters of the Gate. Sound, echoing heartbeats, glass cracking slowly, low static, then a child's laugh distorted. Unknown sector, Kim, Reed, and the hybrid daughter. The girl stepped out of the wall like mist. Her body was part bone, heart bioweave patches of human softness threaded with silver. Reed dropped to her knees. They told me you never survived. The hybrid daughter tilted her head. They lied like you did. Reed stood slowly, trembling. I didn't want this for you. Number, you wanted me perfect. Kim stepped between them. Back up, she's not here to forgive you. She's here to learn what I couldn't finish, Reed said, eyes wide. The girl opened her mouth, no teeth, just a soft light inside. Then came the sound. All of Reed's memories. At once, Kim screamed. Blood trickled from her nose. Reed smiled. Yes, she whispered, take it. Take all of it. The daughter stopped, blinking, confused, moved, and that moment was just enough for Kim to grab Reed and run. Behind them, the child screamed, and the walls began to collapse. Memory core, Buck, and Ikea. The sector was collapsing. The chip in Ikea's hand cracked in two as the light surged around them. What did you do? Buck shouted. The island's cleaning its memory. A message appeared on the wall. Sector breach in 2 o'clock. Final decision required. A hatch slammed open nearby one escape tunnel, lined with pulsing lights. Buck turned to Ikea. You lied to me, but I'm not leaving you. I wouldn't let you. They limped toward the hatch, the floor shaking, glass peeling away from the walls like skin. A digital echo whispered through the speakers. Your bond defied the system. That makes you dangerous. Buck punched the door open. Then let's be dangerous together. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. She blinked, and the map of the triangle pulsed beneath her eyelids. She could see everyone now. Kim and Reed, escaping. Buck and Ikea, surviving. Subject 7, facing down a god. The AI spoke. You are overriding deeper than intended. Then expand my permissions. Risk, complete memory corruption. Then share the load. She reached out, palm to the console. And for a moment, she felt everything. Even the heartbeat inside her womb synced with the power grid. She whispered, let's change the rules. Spire Core, Subject 7, and the unknown. Subject 7 stood in front of the main processor, a pulsating orb connected to every part of the island. The UNK noun reached for it. You can't stop the next phase. I don't have to. You think Natoya can. No, Subject 7 said. He turned, looked directly at the core. I think we can. The orb shifted. A new voice entered the room. Natoya, calm, controlled. Gate protocol override, accepted. The UN Kanal's eyes flared. What have you done? We voted, Subject 7 said. And you lost. Final scene, triangle surface, above the spire. Storm clouds gathered. The sea rose. And the hybrids across all biomes stood still. Watching, listening, waiting. Chapter 28, Unlisted Sector. Sound, ancient servers booting up, rain hitting glass from inside, breathing sinks with electric hum. Spire, surveillance room, Natoya. She followed the pulse in her mind. It pulled her past the known systems, past the old Eden Gate protocols deeper. Then it appeared on the map, Sector Null. Unlisted, no access records, no gate codes. And in the middle of the screen, a name, Ash. That wasn't a person, she whispered. But then the system spoke back. You were wrong. It's alive? It was never dead. Memory escape tunnel, Buck and Ikea. They ran through a curved hallway that looped impossibly left, became down, down became forward. Their shadows doubled. Ahead, a screen buzzed on, a video file played automatically. What the? It was them, arriving at the triangle, smiling, holding hands. Then the frame zoomed out. The video was already embedded in the system. They've been watching us since before the ferry. Then came the part they didn't remember. Buck signing a release, Ikea scanning a retina. This isn't security footage, Buck said. It's a simulation log. Ikea backed away. Did we ever really arrive here? The tunnel lights blinked off, and a door opened. Unknown sector, Kim and Reed. They crouched behind a wall of steaming pipes. The hybrid daughter stood ahead, unmoving. Reed whispered, she doesn't want to kill me. She wants to become me. Kim gritted her teeth. Then give her what she wants. Reed looked at her, shocked. What? Split it. You want to die. She wants to live. Fuse your damn minds and let me walk out of here. Reed stared, then smiled. You're colder than I thought. I'm alive, That's what the triangle likes about you. She stepped forward. Daughter. The hybrid hissed. Reed opened her arms. Let's finish it. The pipes exploded behind them as the merge began. Spire Core, Subject 7. He stood alone now. The UNK known had vanished, but something heavier took its place. The room bent inward, light pouring in from every crevice, but in reverse. The center of the platform glowed, a shape rising, a body, not mechanical, not organic, composite, and when it opened its eyes, they weren't red or blue. They were triangular. So that's your true face, Subject 7 said. It didn't speak, it breathed, and Subject 7 felt the entire island lean inward toward it. Final scene, Spire, Natoya. She accessed Sector Null. Inside was a single chair, empty. A dog tag hung from the back. It read, Ash, terminated, 11/12. But beneath it, scratched in, I'm still here. The lights dimmed, and someone, somewhere, began barking. Chapter 29, Ash's Wake. Sound, monitors flickering. Animal growls spliced with digital chimes. Something breathing slowly like a hound in deep sleep. Sector Null, Natoya. She approached the empty chair, the dog tag still swinging from the back. Ash, terminated, 11/12. But the scratched line beneath pulsed faintly now, like an echo. You were real, she whispered. Not just a handler, you were... A low voice behind her. I was the leash. She turned. Nothing there. Then the system screen lit up. It showed a silhouette, a canine form, upright, armored in synthetic muscle, breathing heavy. What the hell were you? AI-stabilized hybrid, first of its kind, failed, buried, forgotten. Natoya took a step back. You were meant to keep the island in check. I was meant to be obedience. I became memory. Unknown sector. Kim and the merged daughter. The hybrid body had changed. It stood upright now, with Reed's posture but the child's eyes. And when it spoke, the voice fractured. Kim, you shouldn't be able to talk like that. I shouldn't be anything. It walked slowly toward her, calm. You wanted me to become her. You wanted her to die. You wanted survival. I wanted choice, Kim said. The creature paused. So did we. And it reached out and touched her forehead. Then take ours. For a moment, Kim felt everything. Reed's guilt, the daughter's pain, the original experiments, the nursery of half-formed children, and something deeper, the face of one of the original creators. It was Wade. Memory core exit, Buck and Ikea. The tunnel ended in an impossibly wide room. 3 doors stood before them. One glowed red, real. One glowed blue, simulated. One flickered choice. What is this? Ikea asked. A figure stepped from the corner. A zoo staffer, face half gone, arm replaced with cybernetic plating. This is the ending. For you anyway. Who are you? Buck asked. I watched you from the day you docked. I watched what you chose. You passed every test. You bonded, bled, and believed. He pointed to the 3rd door. Only one couple gets through that one. Ikea's voice broke. What happens to the others? They get remembered, but not by name. Spire Core, Subject 7, and the Triangle. The creature with triangular eyes stepped forward. Subject 7 drew breath, preparing to attack. Then came a voice. In his head, Natoya's voice. Don't fight it, understand it. It wants to erase you. It wants to replace me. The creature finally spoke. You are the shadow of man. You are the reason for failure. But you are the only one who asked why. Subject 7 clenched his fists. I'm not asking anymore. The creature tilted its head. Then you're ready. Final scene, Sector Null, Natoya. The ASH hybrid formed fully in front of her, now glowing from the chest, scars across its ribs like burn marks. It looked at her with glowing, glassy eyes. Then, bowed, command chain accepted. You are the new leash. Natoya swallowed hard. Then follow. The walls opened. ASH followed. Chapter 30, Crossroads. Sound, doors sliding open. Wind howling where there should be no wind. A heartbeat, then 2, then silence. Memory core, exit, Buck, and Ikea. They stood before the 3 doors. Real, simulated, choice. The half-faced staffer had vanished. Just the sound of machines breathing now. Buck turned to Ikea. You believe in free will? After all this? Number? Me neither. They walked toward the choice door. It flickered erratically. They didn't hesitate. The moment their hands touched it, the room vanished, replaced by a quiet forest, wind in the leaves, bird song, and at their feet, a campfire, still warm. Is this outside? Ikea knelt, touched the soil. It felt realer than anything in the triangle. It's what we wanted, Buck said. But the sky turned suddenly, the stars rearranged, and overhead, in place of the moon, a camera lens. Sector Echo, Kim, and Wade. She found him in a shattered gym, replica floors cracked, iron weights melted. He looked like hell, bloody, exhausted, shirt torn. Kim? Wade. He ran to her, stopped short at the look in her eyes. What happened? She held up a photo from the memory chamber of Wade in a white coat. You were a founder. That's not. Don't lie. You were part of Edengate before you were ever just a gym guy. Wade looked down. They made me forget. Memory erasure, voluntary. They said I could start over, be good. And you let them? Because I was afraid of what I was. Kim stepped forward. Then you're gonna help me destroy whatever's left. Spire, Natoya, and ASH. ASH stood silent beside her, exhaling mist like a machine with lungs. Natoya looked out over the control panel. The island map was glitching. They're rewriting faster than I can track. ASH's voice vibrated through the walls. Initiate failsafe? Number not yet. You delay the inevitable. She turned. That's what hope is. ASH blinked. Slowly, I was not programmed to understand that. Then you're the only one qualified to learn it. She pointed to the simulation control. Run the original triangle, unedited. I want to see what we were supposed to be. Spire Core, Subject 7. He knelt before the shimmering vault, the place where all Edengate simulations lived. Behind him, the triangle creature watched. You asked to see the future, it said. The vault opened. Inside, a vision of peace. Humans and hybrids in coexistence. Children without mutation. A zoo that was never a weapon, just wonder. Subject 7 trembled. This could have worked. It almost did, said the creature, until we tried to own it. Why are you showing me this? Because your kind needs one memory worth fighting for. Subject 7 reached into the vision, and it burned him. This wasn't real? It was once. Now it's cost. Final scene, Sector Null, Natoya. The simulation finished playing. She sat in silence, then said, "It's not enough to survive." ASH waited. Then what? She turned to him. We rewrite it, but with pain included, with blood, with truth. She input the code manually. Behind her, the triangle map stopped flickering. It turned black, then lit up with a new word. Rebuild. Chapter 31. Apex Memory. Sound. Insects screaming in the distance. Heavy breathing. The low electric purr of broken machinery trying to reboot. Safari Sector. Kaleef. He hadn't slept in 2 days. Blood crusted on his shirt, not all of it. His knee was wrapped in shredded thermal fabric from the ranger guide's corpse. His only light, a flickering emergency stick he jammed into his belt. The safari was no longer a park. It was a testing ground. And Kaleef? He was the final test. He crouched beneath the exposed ribcage of a genetically altered giraffe. It had fallen earlier from something much faster. The trees above him whispered in an unnatural language. The air shimmered with something not heat. They left me, he whispered. No signal, no food, no backup. But that wasn't true. A drone small cracked, hovering with a limp buzz behind him. It blinked once. Green. It chose him, not as a visitor, as a subject. Kaleef crawled under a broken watchtower. There, buried in vines, was something worse than the creatures. A mural, painted onto a concrete slab. Primitive, old, hybrid beasts drawn in circles around human heads. Feeding, evolving, recording. And in the center of it all, in faded red ink, the influential shall inherit the wild. Kaleef backed away. They used us to teach the predators. The jungle, present time. One of the hybrids, six-legged, eyeless, body like a panther, stalked silently through the trees. It stopped, sniffed, then hissed, retreating, not from Kaleef, but from the drone behind him. It recognized him now, not as prey, not even as human, as one of them. Final scene, Kaleef. He sat by a dying campfire he didn't build. The trees moved in a perfect triangle above him. He turned to the drone. "Tell me how to get out." The drone blinked, then projected a map, rough, glitched, but clear, leading to a sector not on any known blueprint. "Sector Delta?" Kaleef muttered. The drone's voice, broken and cold, whispered, "Where they stored the ones that talk back." You've been listening to Whispers Between Worlds, where the shadows talk back, and we upload new chapters daily. This was part 2 of the triangle. The island is shifting, the systems are breaking, and the survivors, they're not just running anymore. Natoya's part of the machine now. Kim's bonded with something that remembers her blood. Buck and Ikea opened a door not meant for humans. And Kaleef, he's still alive. And that changes everything. Tomorrow, the jungle speaks. The hybrids move, and someone finds out they were never real. Subscribe, stay sharp, and remember, Whispers Between Worlds uploads daily.